Hello, my faithful Frisbee fans. Today I've got a pull breakdown, mechanical breakdown for Julia's Huck and pull, and she sent me some video in slow motion, which I'm going to analyze here, and I'm hoping that all of you can benefit from this analysis because I've found that several players now are asking for tips on their technique, and I've been helping people one-on-one and kind of going over the same stuff. So this way I can review your throws, and you guys are going to see other people's throws reviewed, and you're going to start to learn from their adjustments and hopefully be able to apply those same things to your throws. So let's get right into this. I'm going to expand this, and we're going to look at Julia bomb this thing. She's got great technique. I'm just going to kind of move through. I should probably open this in something other than just preview. But she's got a nice explosive second last step into her X step, and bam, there's the launch. Foot comes up. Very nice. She actually gets off the ground. Some disc wobble, but she like really reefs on that thing. That's a good looking pull. A couple comments here right away. Let's bring it back. The length of that X step I think could get a little longer. So she's building momentum. Nice lateral leap here. And then the X step, I feel like the X step, she's almost slowing down when she gets from that, third last step, second last step, plant, and go. You want that X step to be a bit more explosive, I think. So this one's pretty explosive. That third one, I really want to see from here. I'd love to see that X step be more of a push. So that her right leg here, I want to see her push harder off of that leg and generate more energy, because there's all this nice energy here, and then I feel like a bit of it gets lost. And then that last step is nice, but I feel like if you were coming into that X step with more explosiveness, that step, that plant is going to be much more explosive, and that's going to translate more force into that throw, right? So we want to remember why we're doing all of this. And the footwork here, the reason we're doing any of this footwork at all and not just throwing from a standstill is because we want to translate as much of that lateral force into twisting our bodies as possible. And here, to my eyes anyway, Julia is kind of like doing the best part of her footwork in that third last step. I really like that third last step. That's a good leap, covering a lot of horizontal ground. And if you want to know whether or not your steps are good, a good indication is how much lateral distance you're covering in each step. And generally, the more lateral distance you're covering, the more force you're applying to each step, because it makes sense. You're kind of leaping into that throw. So here we go. Right there, that X step, just push the ground harder there, Julia. That's one comment. Another one we're going to look at is the disc position. Very straight off her arm, not a lot of bend on that wrist. Let's see if she gets it back at the last second. Yep, she's coiling her wrist a little bit here, a little bit of coil, but not much. That wrist in relation to, there's some coil here at the very last second, and then it's out, but we're going to see the disc is going to wobble through the air a bit, and slow motion is great for showing that. There's a lot of wobble on that disc, and we're seeing it not stay on the IO shape that lends itself really well to power and distance. So Julia, you're going to want to try to maintain that that wrist angle. I don't have a disc in here, which is embarrassing, but make sure that your wrist is preloaded, pre-cocked on that backhand to make sure that you're getting pure spin off of it, right? So right here, we're also seeing that the disc is kind of air bouncing because the disc is not in line with the wrist. I'm going to run and get a disc so that you can actually see what I'm talking about. I am back. And so let's have a quick look at this part here. So here, like you could, from here onward, really from here, like this position onward, like you can have the wrist already loaded up and ready to go, right? Just have it here already instead of having it out here and then like relying on timing to bring it back at the last second. Just start with it preloaded. Another thing I'm seeing is the position of the disc when you do wind up. there, I can tell kind of that the disc is not perfectly in line with your forearm. So you're getting some air bounce, some inefficiency. By that, I mean right now your wrist is kind of like this. It's a little more relaxed. Just turn that disc so that it's more lined up with the forearm. You want a nice line across there, right? So right now, instead of winding up like that, you're pre-cocking it, loading it up so that it's lined up with that forearm. And then when you go to throw, drop that whole assembly down like this so that you're getting that nice IO release angle. But otherwise, I mean, you're coming along really well here. This is a great looking pull. You're actually releasing it at a good angle there. That should IO. You could afford to drop that even more to exaggerate that IO shape and try to have the disc fading at the end of its flight. I can tell, like right here, you can tell that the disc is now going to fade from left to right in the end of its flight. You want it to fade in the end from right to left if you're right-handed. So that indicates that it took an IO flight path. And you're going to get more IO shape on it when you do pre-cock the wrist and have it generate more spin, because right now your release angle is actually pretty good. Let's grab another video that you sent and have a peek. I haven't actually seen this yet. Again, that X step. Bang. Good work not hitting the camera person. So that step into the X step is actually really nice. That step there is probably your most explosive step, but I really want to see you push off with your right leg on the X step. I want you to push off harder there. So push as hard as you can. And then here you want to be absorbing a lot of force when you kind of plant and translating that force into your pull. Same idea right here. Your wrist could be loaded up more. Bring your chest higher. So right here, you're kind of hunching down a little bit. So posturally, you're losing efficiency in your twist because your upper back is rounded. If you bring your chest higher, you're going to be rotating with more efficiency around a straight spine. So I don't want to rotate like from here. I don't want that kind of rotation. And let's see what your head does, because I think your head's going to move up. Yeah, your head's kind of coming up from a down position. If your chest is a bit higher, your head won't come up like that. If your chest is higher and you're rotating like this from a high chested position, your spine is straighter and you're getting better rotation. You're actually going to be able to generate more speed that way too. So straighter spine. I like that you sent this angle because now I can see right here your upper back needs to be a bit straighter. So just stand a bit more upright in that position. That's really good that you're getting your back foot up. And it's interesting that you're dealing with the rotation issue just by getting up off the ground. Like you're throwing that with so much power that you're actually jumping into that throw. So that might actually alleviate the need to pirouette on your toes. Usually when I pull, actually spin on the ball of my foot, but you don't seem to need to do that because you jump. So that's cool technique. I actually haven't seen a whole lot of that on a backhand pull. And let's look at the last video, my favorite. Oh, here we go. Forehand, baby. That's a good looking forehand. I didn't get the view from behind of the forehand. For whatever reason, that didn't attach. But I've got a lot of information here to work with, and it looks great. I don't see anything wrong with that. Like great, powerful step out, straight spine. Your counter motion here, your like wind up is really nice. Let's see, bang. Yeah, the release angle on the disc looks really good. Nice and low on that outside edge, and it's pretty well in line with your arm and just whipping it. That probably went really far. It's hard to say from this angle, but if you want to send me another video of the view from behind of you throwing that forehand, just so I can see more of what the flight characteristics were like. Then I'll be able to give you more tips on the forehand. But to my view, like, that looks awesome. Your right shoulder is dropped. That looks great. Wow, it's a really good looking forehand. One thing you might get in trouble for in the game is that back foot does slide. So you might get called on a travel there if someone's being picky. But otherwise, I mean, that looks awesome. I can't really think of anything from this view to actually comment on. It is coming out in slow motion. It's coming out with a little bit of wobble on it, but like, I can't tell whether or not that's a problem for the throw if it's got a lot of distance on it. So yeah, I mean, hopefully that was helpful for you, and I'd love to see an updated set of videos once you've had a chance to implement these comments. And these are really good looking throws as far as I can tell. Very impressive. So just keep going. I can't wait to see some improvement. Take care.